Hello, everybody, and thank you for dropping into this edition of Walking the Ropes. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Blake. Today we have an awesome show for you. We'll be covering the news over the last few days, as well as this weekend's two pay-per-views, No Surrender and Takeover Vengeance Day. And then we'll be discussing our favorite and least favorite bits from the show. And your Twitter polls as well. Sorry.
Yes, but before we get going on that, remember, if you are new to us or you are enjoying the stuff we have been putting out, you can find everything Walking the Ropes through our link tree. That includes our social medias, as well as other ways to support us, such as Buy Me a Coffee, Redbubble, and everywhere that you can listen to us, like Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Music, and literally a ton of other podcasting platforms. So that is through our link tree, which is in our descriptions and bios, basically everywhere. So, yeah. Well, that was a weekend of wrestling. I mean, the title
Yeah.
of this audio podcast, this live stream, the VOD, and that it's This Is Wrestling, because this weekend really just was. It was good, honest wrestling.
Yeah.
Some better than others, obviously, but all of it was still really solid.
Yeah. Very cool.
I don't think there was one that as we go through with our ratings and whatnot, there was ones that I was less a fan of than others, but I don't think there was a match overall, myself personally, that I sat and went, that was a complete disappointment.
Yeah.
Everything had a decent outcome, so.
Yeah, no, there weren't really any disappointing matches at all.
So, and I mean,
Well,
that's surprising between two pay-per-views, two different companies. Like, it's surprising. Like I said, there's some that rank lower than others that, but it still had a decentness to it.
yeah.
So, but yeah. I guess we'll hit up news. I know I don't have a whole lot. I don't think you have a whole lot.
No.
But we'll go through what we have here. So, first one that I saw it this morning. The Great Muda, we talked about him the last time, also known as Kaiji Muto, has just signed a full-time 2-year deal with Pro Wrestling Noah. He just won I believe it was their World Championship at the beginning of the weekend. So, and I mean, I think it said 61, 60,
That's amazing.
61. So signing a 2-year full-time deal, and I mean, being the world champion, that's crazy. And I mean, we talked about it last time about how good Muda was, so it'll be interesting to see what he does in his tenure
for
there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely interesting. Literally moments before we went live, Parker Bordeaux, however you want to say it, officially followed us on Twitter. That was kind of funny. He just follows people on Twitter all the time. So when he followed us, that was something I wanted to mention. It was so cool to see.
Yeah, it's always neat when you see a certain name, even though if they're following thousands of people and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
you still know your tweets are gonna pop up in their feed whether they pay attention or not. It's something just neat, easy as that.
Exactly.
Yeah. There's a thing that I got here, that I found kind of funny, because I always tend to forget this time. You remember when Raw used to have the guest hosts or the guest GMs and stuff like that? So apparently, reportedly, Vince McMahon described that era of Raw as SNL, Saturday Night Live, but better. And
Right.
that kind of just made me chuckle, because I'm like,
Didn't he have SNL guys on as the GM?
oh,
At one
I don't
point?
even know. There were so many. Like, I only remember like very few. Like, Bob Barker. I remember purely because of him and Jericho on
Yeah,
that
I can
episode.
remember Bradley
Ozzy.
Cooper.
Oh my God, they had Bradley Cooper. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, I
Um,
remember Ozzy because Ozzy, Sharon, and I don't remember who else. They did like the what was it, America's Got Talent bit on Raw. It was
Yeah.
so bad.
Well, and with that, they also had the Muppets, I think.
Yes, they had, yes, because Sheamus, I can visually see Sheamus and I can't even think of the Muppet's name. Uh
Kermit?
no, the orange hair.
Animal.
Is that okay?
Oh, wait.
Backstage.
Hang on. The pink one, the oblong one?
Yes.
Beaker.
Okay. Yeah, because I can remember, like, I can visually see him and Sheamus in, like, one of the hallways backstage. And it was like, what the
Yeah,
fuck
the
is
one that
this?
kind of looks like Sheamus. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
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 Yeah. As
Yeah.
well as Hugh Jackman. That was a good one.
I remember Hugh because he freaking wasn't it. Was it the Miz? Was it the Miz that he punched
Ryder,
in?
I remember he was on his side.
Yeah, I want to say it was the Miz that he punched in the face. But I'm not. I'm not gonna.
Oh yeah, I can't remember.
Not gonna state that 100% sure.
No,
Um,
exactly.
but yeah, I found that interesting. I was like, really, Vince, really, like SNL, but better. Sorry, I don't think it was, like, I'm not an SNL fan, but I can tell
I've
you
seen a
right
lot of
now,
clips, but
it your guest hosts were not better than SNL.
no, maybe he's talking about how like SNL had like guest hosts, but like would only appear in like skits and whatever. Maybe he's just meaning what the guest hosts did.
Yeah, it still wasn't better.
Yeah, I don't know.
From knowing what I know of SNL and seeing what I've seen, I would say no still. But
Yeah,
hey,
for sure.
Vince thinks he's king shit, so let him continue.
Yeah.
So
Um, Sammy Guevara is reportedly in hot water in AEW as well as Impact. And Tony Khan himself, which is always bad. For voicing some complaints about Impact storylines as that were supposed to involve him. He was supposed to appear on Impact, but didn't fly out when they originally planned for him to appear there the day before. He actually changed his flight to be able to arrive at the Impact tapings a few hours before the tapings. As well as during this, he was texting officials saying like he wanted to change plans that were already agreed upon. Um, anyway, I guess they pulled him entirely, and the change went to Black Taurus. So
yeah,
that means he was going to be involved with Decay,
I
which is interesting.
I don't know. We talked about it just a little bit before the podcast went live here, and I don't know. Maybe there's more that we're missing. Obviously, a lot goes on that we're not privy to, and we're relying on dirt sheets and shit like that. But I don't know. It feels weird, and I had read a bit on it that apparently Jericho was really pissed off about it too, because
At
he's
Guevara?
yeah, because he's vouched for Guevara a little bit. And the thing that I had read was that Jericho went as far as, once all this shit started to take place, he got a hold of Don Callis and wanted Don Callis to ban Sammy Guevara from Impact Wrestling for the foreseeable future because he was so pissed off how this all transpired. Which, if that's true, then holy shit.
Yeah, that's really crazy. And I mean, we can play that into some AEW storylining with Inner Circle and Guevara as well. Because we know this will eventually turn into some kind of storyline with Guevara and Callis and Jericho,
Well,
because that's just
dependent
the way.
on how serious this situation is.
They appear to still have a very good Impact working relationship. It didn't affect that at all. Um, and knowing how Guevara seems to be a consummate professional from what I've seen from him, when he makes a mistake, he does own up to it and works at it. Because I believe he was a part of that Speak Out movement, took some time
Yes.
off,
Yes, he
and came
was.
back a better person. Um, so if he needs to do that again, so be it. Like, we get it. He's a young guy. He's gonna make mistakes.
Yeah, well, I have an article of it up here, just to make sure I had my stuff
Hmm.
correct. So apparently Jericho came up with the initial idea for Guevara on Impact, pitched it to Tony Khan, and Tony Khan, got in contact with Impact. Impact did not like the initial idea, and Tony Khan came up with a secondary idea, which Impact gave the green light to. And yeah, Guevara was not happy with the creative direction of the angle. Tony Khan was informed. Khan was pissed about it. Jericho was pissed about it. I have here that he reached out to Don Callis about banning Guevara from Impact moving forward, and Jericho told Guevara to go home and not continue traveling to Nashville himself.
Hmm.
So, and
My only thing thinking about this, the story that he might not have liked, thinking about the people involved in that match, Tennille and Caleb, that would be the people he would be having issue with, because he is a pretty boy kind of character, and that is very much what their characters are. So I could see if maybe he didn't want to be involved with kind of a joke gimmick. He wanted to be a more serious gimmick on, and so maybe that was the issue. But you know, I've seen people take a joke gimmick and turn it into beautiful things. So you kind of just need to take stuff on the chin.
yeah, and at the bottom here, Sean Ross
Sorry to cut
Sapp
you off.
from Fightful apparently was able to confirm that an AEW wrestler, which we now know to be Sammy Guevara, was not happy with the creative direction, but he could not validate Tony Khan and Jericho being pissed off and upset with the situation. And there was a lot of people worrying about the situation causing tension between the companies, and apparently according to him, he doesn't see any reason why the relationship would be negatively impacted from it.
Right.
So but that's just like I said, just going off of dirt sheets, reading some interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The quote I saw was the brand promotional open door, whatever you want to call it, is still golden.
Well,
So
yeah, what one little issue like that, you've got, I mean, the second things clear up and we're back to fans, if we can really pull this off big time, cuz I know that I had read that Okada, I believe it was, Kazuchika Okada is
yeah,
reportedly going to be involved with AEW and according to Carl Anderson and Impact very soon.
well, that is something I look forward to.
Because we now know as of No Surrender, and it was just a bit at the end. I guess there's no reason to hold it off till the end. We now know the open doors crosses New Japan over with Impact now too, because David Finlay and Juice Robinson will be making their debuts this Tuesday on Impact Wrestling from New Japan.
I
Uh,
can't remember. They have a tag team name. It's like
Finn Juice or some shit like
Fin
that.
Juice, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, which is kind of interesting. But I look forward to seeing their debut. They're very good athletes.
Yes, yeah. Well, yeah. And I mean, Juice Robinson. I was It all kind of makes sense now. I was really confused because him and Tony Storm are together, and they've been posting a lot of photos together lately, and I thought he was still overseas and her
Yeah,
being in the States for NXT. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? like
yeah,
like
really good Photoshop.
yeah, or like it's old photos and whatnot, and now with them being like, oh, they're here in Impact, I'm like, okay, kind of all makes sense now.
He probably came over a couple months ago to quarantine
Yeah.
prep and then
Well,
also probably have some time with Tony.
I don't know if they were on New Japan Strong or not. The American one that they were filming where Mox appeared and whatnot.
I can't remember the last
Which
time seeing their names come up.
yeah, because if they were, then maybe I'm just really behind, but I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah.
So, what else you got there for news though?
Um, PW Insider is reporting that Taya Valkyrie has officially signed with WWE and will join the NXT brand in the coming weeks. Taya was backstage at last week's tapings.
Yeah. So I have more to add to that actually. They actually have a pretty solid list here of the reported class
Okay.
that is supposedly set to be officially announced next Tuesday, not tomorrow, but next Tuesday. Obviously take this with a grain of salt for the names on here, but we were officially confirmed last night, Sunday night, about Eli Drake, now known as LA Knight. He debuted at Takeover on the pre-show. Um, as well as other names in this class are the likes of Taya Valkyrie, Harlem Bravado, Anthony Henry, Christian Casanova, I think that says AQA, Sari, and Blake Christian.
Right, which is really interesting considering he was on No Surrender.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is, though, from watching, No Surrender was pre-taped. No Surrender was not
Oh,
live. The main way you can tell, which I found out, is whether or not the broadcast team is ringside. They were ringside for Hard to Kill, and I forget what was the one of the last ones they were actually live for. I don't want to say Bound for Glory because that sounds really long ago, but it was I want to say between Bound for Glory and Hard to Kill. They had the desk at ringside. If you do not see
when
the
they
announced
when they
team at
debuted,
ringside, that was Hard to
the
Kill.
the week after they debuted, they were ringside.
Uh, that probably is because they did that taping more than likely directly after or directly before Hard
Right.
to Kill. But if they are not ringside and they're doing like the standing with the banner behind them, the shows are pre-taped is what I've been
Mhm.
figuring out. Um,
There we go.
so
I
I
mean, it doesn't matter either way. They still have a good show almost all the time.
Well, exactly, but it would make sense even if he potentially appears tomorrow night for some reason on Impact, it would make sense especially as to why they're waiting to announce it as well. Make sure
So that way,
anybody's
yeah.
appearances are done. Um and the other two names rumored right now are of course Parker Bordeaux. Is from reading
I
it I want to say it's
Yeah,
Bordeaux.
that's how I wanna say, but I've heard people pronounce it Bourdois as well, like,
We'll
that
figure it
that
out.
last name, Bourdois, as well.
Yeah, and
So
apparently Rick Steiner's son Bronson is
oh,
apparently rumored as well. But
will they I wonder if they'd give him the Steiner name if he were to actually appear.
I don't see why not.
Well, just because
It's a
maybe
wrestling family name.
right, but at the same time, they don't always use the family name, but they just kinda hint at the legacy.
uh
Example, Usos.
yeah, that's fair. I don't know. It just when it comes to something like the Usos, that's a much,
For sure.
in my opinion, much different thing. I mean, you're talking generations and generations, and the number of wrestlers is ridiculous. Where
Normally
The
when it's a
Steiner name
son, for
is
sure.
like not to be an ass. I mean, the Steiners
No,
have
for
been
sure.
big parts of wrestling, but when you compare it to the Anoa'i family,
No,
yeah,
for
not
sure.
as big.
No, but that was just the first one that came into my
Yeah,
mind, right? So,
yeah. Speaking of father son and stuff like that, just an interesting point here. Rey Mysterio was asked in an interview about the possibility of Dominic wearing a mask. We have previously talked about this on the podcast here. So apparently Ray says they've talked about it. They do not rule it out, but he does feel like it might be a little too late because they've already run the storylines and people know his face now, and there's no reason to divert and try and give him a new appearance when people already know who he is. And that they're just gonna, from the sounds of it, try and find a different way to tie that legacy in. But they
That's
had
fair.
previously discussed it, which, I mean, I had said on the podcast before, I don't see any reason as to why to do it anymore.
My thinking is if Dominic turns heel, a way to do it to have him come back with the mask is for him to turn face against his father, win, and have them hug and have this great moment. And his first appearance back is under the mask,
I
maybe under a new name, like I had said before as well.
Yeah, I think on a brand perspective, especially for him, like talking personal brand and whatnot, I
Hmm.
don't think it's a good idea.
For sure.
Um, just, I mean, if you were to go the other route, somebody like Santos Escobar, who was known for years under a mask, that's it, and now he's unmasked, and he's got, something new going for him, that works great. But to go the opposite way around, um, just personal brand standpoint, it doesn't seem like a good direction. Um, just considering a lot of things towards it.
For sure.
Um, but I mean, it's another one of those wait and see type scenarios, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you got any more news?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Well, I guess we will move on then here to some results, and we will start with, if I can hit the right logo. Nope. We're gonna start with Impact Wrestling's No Surrender from Saturday night.
Yeah, the bigger
Um,
card of the two.
yeah, like it was surprisingly long there. So we'll run through our results, and then if you haven't watched our only other pay-per-view recap show was Rumble. We have our scale that we go off of for the matches. We'll
Hmm.
run through that after we run through the results for both pay-per-views. I know we're a little short for time for this episode as well, but we've got lots at the moment, so hopefully we can stay relatively on topic and not
Oh,
have
I
to
think we
rush.
will be able to because the beauty of pay-per-views is they just kind of flow match to match.
Yeah, we don't have like I mean, Impacts had little bits here and there, but they were all
Yeah,
generally the same thing, and it didn't really break the flow of the show.
exactly.
But yeah, we open the show. We have promo talking about Tommy Dreamer. And it was really good.
Yeah, it
Like
was amazing.
normally for opening packages, they're like you can watch them, but it really doesn't hurt you if you don't. But this one, I sat and watched, and I was greatly impressed with how they pulled it off.
Hmm.
Obviously, just really heavily focusing on it being his birthday, him not knowing how long he has left in the business, the opportunity of tonight, stuff like that. It was really good.
Hmm.
And obviously, then we have him arriving at the impact zone in that. And yeah, like I said, we flowed really quickly right into the first match.
Yep. I think it starts with Tennille entering and followed by Triple XL.
Yeah. And then we have obviously Decay, which is Rosemary, Crazy Steve, along with Black Taurus. Um, I was impressed with the match. There wasn't anything crazy from it. I was expecting with them pulling in a name like Black Taurus for this, and especially now knowing potential circumstances surrounding it.
Hmm.
I'm surprised we didn't have, like, I mean, not to say that Black Taurus didn't look good in the match, but I was surprised we didn't have a more like a big like oh shit moment from him. Like we were talking on the preview, uh, about something like potentially suplexing AC or some crazy shit
Yeah,
like that.
and I mean he suplexed Larry.
Yeah, when he did that, I was like, actually, at one point, I think he tosses him up, and I don't know if he catches Larry or what it was that happened. But when he
Yeah,
did that, I was like, um, you just tossed a pretty big fucking guy quite high in the air and then caught him. Okay. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Um, but I don't know if you have any specific notes on this match. Like I said, there wasn't anything crazy to me.
Um, no, just the finish there where Black Taurus hits like this corkscrew dive. The I don't even know how to describe the finishing move he did. I wrote it as a package power bomb suplex because that's what I saw.
I saw it and I was just like, Blake will have something in his notes for this because I don't even want to try to explain this. So I'm glad you had something.
Yeah, because like
Um,
he starts it in a power bomb, kind of, and then picks it up, and then he's in the suplex, and then he drops him down, and then
it
it's like
it was interesting. It was
all I
interesting.
know is it looked like it hurt.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Um, because it almost looked like Larry landed pretty good on his head too. Which I
Mhm,
mean, it's one of those moves. Compare it to like, I mean, Kenny hits it really good, but like the one winged angel or another one, Pentagon's pump handle driver.
mhm.
Like moves like that, if you just don't get the rotation, it can go wrong. Um,
Example, the Muscle Buster from Samoa Joe.
Oh yeah. Like I mean he's hit that move literally hundreds of times. I mean, you got to remember he was in Impact Wrestling. That was his move and he just so
Mhm,
happens to hit it wrong once
mhm.
and Tyson Kidd's career is over.
And that
Um
move will never be seen again.
and talking about like Pentagon, if you go back to the Lucha Bros versus the Rhodes brothers, um Pentagon hit that pump handle on Dustin. I mean,
Mhm.
Pentagon's hit that pump handle on tons of people, and he hit it on Dustin, and Dustin just so happened to go down on the top of his fucking head.
Yeah.
Like it just happens. So, but like it seemed like it went over fine. Normally you can tell when it was hit really bad. Larry seemed to land on his head, but I think he rolled into position okay. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, it like I said, it was a good match. Black Taurus picking up the win, obviously, as we
Yeah.
had predicted, and then our predictions just kind of go in the fucking toilet after this match. I I I
Yeah.
have a feeling we need to stop doing predictions because we fucking suck.
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much nailed this match.
Yeah. Yeah, and then yeah, I'm like looking through the notes here and I'm like I don't know if we really hit
Let's see.
any
Yeah.
other matches. Like
So
when we go through here we'll know for sure, but like just looking I'm like I think we were wrong on almost every account. I think the one women's match, the six woman, I think we were right on that one. We were
yes,
wrong on who got the pin in that, but I think that's the only other one we were right on. I
and
think
we were
we
pretty much right for the X Division title match, or I was at the very least.
I didn't think you had said who won that. I thought
Yeah,
you went with
TJP
me on the other
retains.
side. Yeah, I thought we had agreed on
No,
Rohit. I'm
mine's
pretty
literally written on here. My prediction has, and I haven't edited it. I edited it 2 days ago.
well on the podcast you had agreed with me because we were saying to make
I
Rohit look strong in that.
I said like I can see where you're coming from, but my prediction was.
Okay. Well, I'm just going off of what was said on the podcast, but
I
anyways, we move on to the next match. It was Matt Cardona and Eddie Edwards against Brian Myers and
yeah.
Hernandez. Uh another match where it wasn't anything crazy. Um I don't know. I felt like Matt Cardona was really just kind of tossed into this due to Brian Myers being involved and
Yeah, exactly. It just didn't work. But I mean, it wasn't a bad match. Like,
yeah, but it wasn't the top of the card by any means.
no, and I mean, comparative to the match we had just had, I would say not as good.
Ye- Uh, well, my rating, I obviously as we get to it, I give it a little bit more just story wise to further it.
Sure.
It worked because I don't see the first match going any further than that pay-per-view.
No,
That
probably for
that's
sure.
that's done there. This especially with the ending, Brian Myers picking up the win over Matt Cardona with the use of the exposed turnbuckle. I would assume we probably end this with Myers and Cardona at some point, whether that's
Well,
Rebellion in April or just on an Impact.
I don't know if you caught what Matt Stryker said about Myers after the match. Or I guess it was
Uh
more about Cardona. But Matt Stryker says Myers wishes Cardona luck in his future endeavors. So they looked at this as the finish to this story.
well, if that's the case, then that is shit.
Yeah.
Like that
Which also
is
could mean this was the end of Matt Cardona's temporary run with Impact.
well, if that's the case, Impact really needs to clean up their storytelling because there was nothing about his run here that made me pop at
No,
all, other
exactly.
than him showing up to face I think it was Ace Austin at what was that, Hard to Kill. That was the only moment out of him being there that I actually can look back on and be like, that was decent.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, hey, if that's the case, then that's the case. Yeah,
We get a little segment backstage with Hardy Party basically doing the exact same stuff that they'd done the weeks before, which is
same
fine.
fucking segment over and
If we didn't
over.
get it over and over again, this would have been just fine.
Like this
It was
is
just boring.
another like this has to be Impact being like, hey, do this, because there's no way, especially somebody like Matt Hardy, there's no way he
Hmm.
doesn't have new material, something new to do, like, because it's literally for weeks been the same bit over and over and over, and like it worked. Now it's boring.
Yeah.
It really is. It was working at first, and now I'm like, seriously, we've heard the same shit. We get it at
Hmm.
this point.
The one funny thing I want to mention about our predictions on the tag match there, I had Hernandez turning on Myers and then losing.
Oh yeah, I'm still pissed off Hernandez even showed up.
Yeah.
Falaba should have taken
But
him out for that fucking money.
and then we get the promo for Diener and something. That just sounds weird. Diener and Jake something.
Yeah, yeah, there you
Uh,
go.
uh, and then this match just went exactly as you were, well, pretty much exactly as we thought, except for the finish.
Yeah, yeah, the finish
Like
caught me by surprise.
I didn't like. It was a really good match. Not to bury the lead, we get something or Jake something picking up the win. Um, which was great. It was a great match. But right after was the part where basically we assumed we were
Yeah,
right.
so it went almost as planned. The only part of this that prediction wise we weren't great with was the finish.
Yeah, exactly. We had everything almost to a T. The like, Violent by Design getting involved the way they did. Everything. We just didn't expect Jake something to pick up the win.
Yeah, so but the thing is as we said afterwards, which we'll discuss in just a second here, um it doesn't kill off the story,
No.
because when he won, I'm sitting here going, okay, so what me and Blake had talked and discussed and predicted, like, does this all go down the toilet now? Like, are we done with this storyline? And then
Right.
what we're discussing, obviously, Violent by Design jumps Jake afterwards, and we finish off the segment with Joe Doring giving Jake a great big power bomb off the middle rope through a table.
Yeah. It was kind. It
Um,
looked like they were gonna do the triple power bomb, but they didn't.
well, when they were setting up, I'm like, are we really getting like the triple power bomb? And then they didn't. I was like, cool.
It was more to just make sure Jake something didn't die.
Yeah. Um, and then Eric Young shouting like, you asked for this, basically.
And in my head, I'm like, I don't think he did.
Well, in theory, turning
Uh,
Violent by
no,
Design
I get it.
down.
I get it.
Yeah, you
Just in
kind
my,
of did.
in my head, I'm like, I don't know if you know what that means, but okay.
um, but yeah, so outcome wise, as to who got the win, we were wrong, but beyond that, we were right. So
Yeah, the story we had exactly correct. It's just Impact clearly wanted to make sure Jake something still looked like a competitor
yeah,
with the name change, and that's why they had him pick up the win.
so maybe instead of him just losing over and over like we assumed, maybe he'll still pick up the victories, but it'll just be Violent by Design attacking and wearing him down to the point where he goes fine.
Hmm.
Like,
Well, or
um,
they start costing him matches, important ones like for say an X Division title or even a world title, like
yeah, that could work as well.
or pull a right WWE and have Diener and something have to go for the tag titles.
I just do not want to see Violent by Design split. I have this
No,
weird
exactly.
gut feeling just with the way we've gotten booking from stuff we've watched for a long time now.
Hmm.
I see it running to the point where Jake's gonna split them up somehow or something. I'm like, no,
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
it's
I think
Impact
Matt
really.
Stryker alluded to Jake something having to go get some friends of his own, which would be interesting. Um, but I don't see that happening, honestly. I
Yeah,
see Jake not having any friends because really the only person he was able to team up with was Diener. Uh, and now he doesn't have him at all. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't doubt Impact on certain booking. From knowing previously some stuff they've done.
those
So,
bookers are gone now, though.
eh, no, I'm even discussing early last year. There was
But I
booking
still think
decisions.
those bookers are gone now.
I doubt it, but
Who knows? But let's move on to the triple threat, which surprised the hell out of me.
well, before that, we did have a just short backstage
Oh,
segment.
right, yeah.
Tommy Dreamer, Eddie Edwards, and Alicia backstage, just wishing him a happy birthday and that, and Eddie Edwards thanking
Yeah.
him for everything he's done for them and that. Just really nice segment there. Just building Tommy Dreamer up as a really nice
Yeah,
guy,
for
which I
sure.
mean it totally works going into this.
Mhm,
But yeah, as you said, the triple threat revolver match for the number one contendership for the X Division Championship.
mhm.
Um, we were right up until the end again,
Yeah.
which totally pissed me off. Um,
I liked the finish.
it
I'm
wasn't.
happy with who got it.
It was yeah. I'm not saying I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off with the fact that the match is happening tomorrow night. Yep, yep,
Excuse me?
yep. It's happening tomorrow night. So there you go. All this build up for, I mean, not to shit on a title match happening on a weekly show, but like we don't even get like a week build up or anything. It's just happening.
Yeah, like, wow.
But to give you more of an insight, match starts off. We have Trey Miguel, Blake Christian, and Suicide start off in the match. It was very evident who the first one to lose was going to be.
Before the
Um,
match even started, the collar had popped off for Suicide.
oh, I've been kind of noticing, but it wasn't bothering me until this pay-per-view. I don't know why I focused in on it so much, but I'm like, know, like, I don't know what's going on, but like the original Suicides
It was
from
all one piece.
Daniels and Kaz and stuff like that, they never had this issue.
No. That
So
maybe once or twice in a really long, drawn out match. But other than that,
like
like,
I was always a big fan of the Suicide character purely because I had played the TNA Cross the Line video game.
yeah,
I played the whole story. I fucking loved it. And then when he debuted at, I don't even know what the pay-per-view would have been. Probably
probably would have been Bound for Glory.
No, because it was in January that he debuted.
Oh,
I almost want to say No Surrender. Um, that he even possibly debuted at. I've got the pack of DVDs in my shelf there.
right.
Um, I just have to figure out which one it is. But like I was always a big fan, so I always paid really close attention to his matches. And yeah,
It's
it
evident he's
just
not the man of old because
yeah.
he's not the men of old.
Yeah, exactly. But it just really bothered me. But yeah, Suicide ends up being the first one to go out by submission.
And
I think
submissions are becoming a big thing in 2021.
yeah, we've talked about it a few times about not seeing them often, and then all of a sudden, like I think somebody's
Hey,
listening to our
hey,
podcast, like, huh, you want to see some fucking submissions?
like I'm fine with it. Like,
So but yeah, I think was it Blake Christian who made him tap out? I want to say I don't.
yes, with the hourglass submission.
Okay. And then we have Chris Bay come out. Um, yeah. If you have any good spots in between here, definitely let me know. I was really enthralled with this match, so I kind of slacked off on this one here.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, Chris Bay comes out. They're referencing a lot about it being his birthday and that, and what it would be.
birthday.
Yes.
I said that. I wanted to say that. Birthday.
Yes.
Well, because at one point Stryker said something like that, and I
Oh,
was like,
I
"Do we have
know.
to do that?" Like,
I don't even remember what it was, but I remember him saying it, and I just kind of like stopped, and I was like, okay, so this is gonna be a thing. Got it. Um, yeah, and then Blake Christian was eliminated from this Revolver match. And we have Davari come out. I was very very disappointed in the short amount of time Davari got in this match because Davari ended up being the
mhm.
next one out. Um,
Oh, it was the Vertebreaker. He called it the Vertebaker.
oh no, just call it the Vertebreaker. I was actually, yeah, you mentioning that, I was very surprised to see the Vertebreaker hit. When it was hit, I was like, oh shit, cool. Like,
Yeah,
haven't seen
and
that
then
in a long
Stryker
time.
just called it that, and then he goes, "Oh, it's the Vertebaker." I was like, "How about no?"
Hey, Striker, I've been praising your commentary for a few weeks now. Don't let me down like this.
Yeah, that was literally the move that took out Blake Christian.
Okay, yeah. Um, yeah, and like I said, I was so disappointed. Like Davari came out, and I'm like, awesome, we're gonna get a decent showing from Davari, being the veteran in that. And I honestly think he lasted like 45 seconds in the
I
match.
have 2 notes for him. And it's literally he hits a big chop and then clotheslines Bay and then hits a back body drop and then goes Trey hits a double knee and pins him.
Yeah, I was not impressed, but I mean, it happens. Josh Alexander is the next one to come out. Um, and
And just starts taking control.
Josh
Like,
Alexander like is a phenomenal wrestler. Like absolutely
absolutely.
great. Um like and I've heard absolutely great things about him um over the past year or so. But not watching Impact, I wasn't aware of how good he was, and since I've started and seen the showings he's been given in that, like he is really good. Um I'm quite disappointed that I missed out on the North stuff in that with him and Ethan Page and
Yeah,
that. Um, Possibly something if I ever have the time in my life to sit and watch some of that stuff, I may sit and get a good look back, having missed a lot of years of Impact.
for sure.
But Chris Bay is the next one to be eliminated. Um,
Yeah, Josh just takes him out. He hits a torture rack into a power bomb and then locks in the ankle lock and base. Like, all right, no, I'm just dead and just taps out.
yeah,
Like,
I don't want to be here anymore. Okay.
I don't want to play no more.
It's my birthday. I'm going to eat some cake.
Yeah.
Um, Willie Mack comes out next. And this was another one where I was like, okay, we're gonna get a pretty good show from Willie Mack. And then Willie Mack only lasted like what, 2 minutes,
Yeah,
maybe.
he lasts not like a long time, but longer
Then
than
Davari.
Davari.
And then he gets eliminated, Willie Mack. And
Yeah, and it was a really stupid way to eliminate him because Trey hits a Meteora on Willie while he's holding Josh, and then they both just kind of pin him.
yeah, I was like, really? Is this how we're eliminating him? Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Um,
Ace Austin comes out,
with Madman Fulton at his side.
and it almost looked like Fulton was gonna enter the match.
I was like, where are we going with like he looks like he's ready to get in there, and then he just kind of like hung out at the ringside, and I was like, okay, sure.
Yeah, like it was just weird.
But but yeah, so I'm sitting here at this point of this match being like, okay, so like Trey Miguel's gonna come out of nowhere and pick up the win.
Yeah, and
Um,
I thought it was going to be an elimination match until the last man standing. I didn't realize it was a triple threat at that point.
so up until the start of the match, I thought that, and then they kind of went over the rules at the beginning of the match, and they were like, when it's down to the final three, it's I don't remember how they worded it, but it was like when we're down to the final three, they fight to a winner, and I was like, that makes it sound like as soon as it's the final three, it's just a plain triple threat. And I was like, that kind of seems stupid. And then when they got to it, and then obviously Josh Alexander covers Ace Austin, the pinfall
Mm-hmm.
happens, and I went, okay, so we're gonna have like Josh Alexander and Trey Miguel finish it out. And the bell rang, and they declared Josh Alexander the winner. And I was like,
Yeah,
so it was exactly how it sounded. I was like, that kind of, I don't know. I was like, you did like the whole gauntlet elimination thing right up till the very end. I'm like, why didn't we just
because probably Miguel's going to get involved in the match this week, causing it to be a triple threat match at
rebellion?
Rebellion.
Yeah, because Sammy Callahan's probably gonna start to get to him even more this week, and well, yeah, I guess. But yeah, Josh Alexander picks up the win.
Yeah, and
And
I was just surprised.
yeah, I mean,
That's
like I
all
said,
I
I'm
was.
I'm not complaining. I mean, fantastic wrestler. I was just, he had Trey Miguel last the whole time just for him to not even be seen anywhere at the finish of it.
Yeah,
So
and then we were really wrong.
yeah, like really wrong. So we had the Knockouts Tag Team title match, the Texas Tornado, no disqualification. Fire and Flava, the champions, against Havoc and Nevaeh. Um, and yeah,
I just don't know what even to say. Like, it wasn't a horrible match.
it wasn't terrible, but I
I
just,
just didn't like it.
and go figure, the pinfall happens on Nevaeh again.
Yeah. And then she storms out.
Yeah, she yeah, I'm not even sure what to say about it. Like, Havoc seemed baffled that Nevaeh was storming out, and I'm like, please don't split them up. Like,
Yeah.
I prefer them over the tag champs. Like,
Yeah, it just I just assumed that Impact realized that Fire and Flavor was not working, but apparently this is exactly the reaction they thought people were gonna have.
yeah, which, I mean, hey, the thing is though, is as you told me, apparently people liked the first few segments on SmackDown. So apparently we just understand pro wrestling at a whole different level than everybody else, or we don't understand it like everybody else. I mean, I
Mhm.
am the wrestling intellectual according to my my border on our live Twitch.
I
So
just heckle. I just heckle.
so maybe we just understand it at a different level than everybody else. But
It's the Rick and Morty concept. Like we're just too intellectual to be
Yeah,
like
yeah.
regular wrestling fans.
Let's say that because it makes me not feel bad. But yeah, as we said, Fire and Flavor retained. Like it was a decent match. It just
Hmm.
I was surprised by the outcome there. And before we move on, something I noticed because I was just like looking at our stream real quick here. Something I want to mention. It was pointed out to me uh last week this shirt, and I kept forgetting, and go figure, putting this shirt on for the podcast today. If you're watching live, I was told I look like Bray Wyatt in this shirt. Firefly Funhouse Bray Wyatt. Think about it.
I mean a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I was kind of taken off, off guard by that. Somebody looked at me and asked me, like, you trying to be Bray Wyatt? And I was like, what? And then I looked and I was like, oh fuck, I never noticed that. I've been wearing this shirt for like years.
Well, there you go.
Never noticed it. Just a weird little side note, because I just looked and I was like, oh yeah, I should mention that. So I
For
wanted to
sure.
get your opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, eh, it's there. I see it.
Thanks.
Honestly, but it's not the right red,
It's pretty
so
close. It's pretty fucking
it's
close.
close, but it's not the
The
right
the
one.
camera saturates it a little different, so
Right.
I'll let you know that it's quite
I
close in
assumed, yeah.
person. um, but yeah, moving on with No Surrender here. We have an interview with Rich Swann, and basically all that comes out of it is if Moose interferes, he gets suspended. And I actually, after Rich Swann said this, I'm like, this sets up perfectly for our prediction, because
Hmm.
Moose gets himself involved. Tommy Dreamer picks up the win. Moose gets suspended, and
Yeah,
Omega takes the title off of Dreamer at
yeah,
Rebellion. I'm like, holy fuck, this sets it up perfect, because Moose is, gonna be, he wants, I think he's gonna be so narrow focused on kind of like taking Rich out of the picture that he's not gonna
yeah,
care. He knows when he comes back from suspension, he'll go for whoever has the title. I was like, this works out really well, and then we'll get to the main event anyways. But
yeah.
it didn't. It didn't work that way.
No, and then we switched to the X Division Championship match, and with my prediction, I didn't say it, but I have written here, um, TJ retains, but having a fight, both men, pretty much the whole match.
Well,
So
I
I don't.
I can remember just on the podcast us talking about it, and you bringing up
Yeah,
the idea of Manic in that. And I can just remember saying, like, either way, I think Rohit needs to come out on top, just due to the fact of how this whole thing started. And I can just remember an agreement, but irregardless, um,
yeah.
yeah, TJP and Rohit Raju, obviously Mahabali Shira at ringside. And the brawl before the bell, uh, was really good.
Hmm.
I liked that the announce team was being very specific with both men need to be in a neutral corner, in a neutral position for the ref to call for the bell.
Yeah,
Which a lot of people on Twitter missed, because I was scrolling through as I was watching, and people are like, they were in the ring while I was in the match started, and I'm like, because technically speaking, that is the rule. That's
yeah.
been
But
the rule
WWE
for
will just ring the
years.
bell.
Yeah, like that's well, it's like tag team matches. You're supposed to have a tag rope. You were supposed to be holding the tag rope to be able
I
to
don't
get the
think
tag.
AEW does unless FTR's in the match.
I don't notice anybody really do it in FTR. I was noticing a lot, on this pay-per-view, people specifically holding the tag rope.
Yeah,
Um,
and as well in even in NXT as well. So really, AEW, they don't use the tag rope unless it's
which
FTR.
I don't understand. I mean, they've been so like on certain rules, and then like one of the biggest rules about tag team matches, they were like, eh.
Yeah,
I'm like, that just seems weird. And I mean, I've been personally a stickler about it even well before AEW. Um because when there's certain rules like that, I'm always very much so like, it's not a hard rule to follow, and it makes it seem, the point of pro wrestling, you can call it whatever you want, predetermined, scripted, fake, any of that stuff. Like, the point of it is to make it look like it's a real competition, it's a real fight. And so basic rules like a tag rope make sense. Because
Mhm.
if we don't use the tag rope, what's to stop somebody from going literally the middle of the ropes and receiving the tag? There's nothing at that
No,
point to
yeah.
stop it. So
Well,
I
and
just,
AEW has done that. Like,
yeah,
they've had people tag from basically the middle,
they've
and
had people tag in when they're both in the ring. The Lucha Bros have done it.
yes. Yeah,
And
that's
I'm
true.
like, that's not how tag team matches work.
Yeah. Oh, and for anybody that thinks we don't shit on AEW, here you
Here
go.
you go. Here you fucking go. There's one of my biggest issues. Um, but yeah, I'm like, when it comes to simple rules to make it look like more of a legitimate competition, more of a legitimate fight, there's no reason why we can't follow them. And that's why when they came in the ring and they were fighting, I was like, I'm glad that we're referencing, like, this is the rule of how a match starts. And I'm
Well,
like,
yeah, and
good.
that's what I always liked about Stryker in Lucha Underground, because he was the caller for Lucha Underground.
Yep.
And he would always really talk about the strategy of pins and the rules of matches. And that's very much his teacher character that he had in WWE.
Yep.
But it's developed into this almost genius wrestling gimmick, and it's really good now. Like, it was annoying when he started in WWE, but as soon as he left WWE, he was able to tweak it into what it is
Well,
now.
yeah, in WWE, it was meant to be a heel. It was meant to be annoying. Like, can this guy just shut the fuck up? And he's
Mhm.
taken it from that to a whole, like, hey, I've got all this knowledge. I'm not trying to be the heel guy. I'm now just trying to be a really decent color commentary, which is,
Yeah.
we were shitting on Josh Matthews on the last podcast, and
Mm.
that, and I had mentioned I read a list of the best and worst commentators in Impact history, and Matt Stryker was on the side of the worst commentators. And I was like, I know he's done
Maybe it's just
commentary
because,
for them before. He was on commentary before Josh Matthews. Or he was with Josh Matthews or whatever. He was on before him and D'Lo anyways. And maybe
well,
during
whatever.
that time he wasn't good, but I am greatly enjoying him and D'Lo, and especially as you mentioned, him being very much so like, here's the rules, here's the strategy of pin and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm enjoying it, because
Yeah.
as somebody who knows, it's nice to hear somebody else say it. And for people who may not know, like I said, wrestling Twitter during that match, when Rohit slid him in, hit, I can't even think of the name of the kick.
Mumbai drive-by.
Thank you. And went for the pin, and the ref, which I believe was Brian Hebner, was like,
Yes, it was.
I can't count the pin. My wrestling Twitter was like, why the fuck can't he? Like, they're in the ring. I'm like, it's not
Did you
how it
hear a bell?
works.
No, especially in a title match.
Yeah, like, if we're gonna officiate rules in any match, it's gotta be a title match. Like,
Oh, yeah.
if we're gonna, and that's one thing where AEW, I know a lot of people dislike, but I like it, where the refs get lenient on the countouts and sometimes the use
Because
of
those aren't important.
outside things.
Yeah.
Um, unless it's ending up being very one-sided. No, you don't want a title match to end by countout. You don't, like,
Yeah.
somebody like Cody using his belt, and then, like, the thing is, there's always a give and take when it comes to that, and the refs are
It might not
lenient.
be the belt, but he might go through a table or something. Like,
Exactly. Like, there's something, because you don't want a title match to end like that, especially one that's built up so much like that, and
this is
like
probably
this
the
match
most built title match on the card.
on the card, without a doubt, because I mean, even the tag title match was, like, the men's was only a matter of 3 weeks, and we
Like,
didn't have any more than the same promos and a
I'm pretty
little
sure
interference.
I'm pretty sure our first podcast had TJP winning the X division. title as Manic from Rohit.
Yeah, because I think that was Genesis.
Yeah, I think so.
It was either Genesis or it was the Impact that week.
Yeah, exactly. And so, uh, like, this has been, and that obviously because that meant TJP wasn't allowed to wrestle that match.
Yeah,
TJP and Rohit had been going for months already by that
exactly.
point.
Exactly. So like it worked really
Besides
well.
something to do with Eddie Edwards, this might be Impact's longest storyline right now.
Oh, more than likely.
Like, I say something to do with Eddie Edwards because he seems to always have just an ongoing story somewhere.
It always seems to tie back into like this from however long ago, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And I'm fine with that, but it's just like, when does his stories like go off so that way he can
well, him and Sammy
start
Callahan,
something
we're
new?
talking 4 fucking years. I want to
Yeah,
say like it was 4 years ago when Callahan caved Edwards' freaking eye socket in. I think.
and they're still talking about it, and we just had what is looked at as the blow off match to it.
Yeah, which was fantastic, and they were auctioning off the N64 controller from that match.
Nice.
Yeah, with the barbed
Does it
wire
still
and
work?
everything. No, it says it right in the description. It does not work.
Aw.
Because I was
I would
like,
love to use the barb.
yeah, just avoid the barbs there. Okay,
No, you
cool.
give it to your buddy, your player too. Here you go.
Yeah, player 2 always gets the shitty controller. Hey, where's my controller? Here. Are you fucking kidding me? No, avoid the barbed wire. Good luck.
I'm a wrestling fan. You know this.
I'm gonna do that from now on. I'm gonna go and purchase barbed wire, and I'm gonna wrap it around a fucking controller for player
Oh,
twos
that's
for when
amazing.
I want to get a Wii. I want to get a Wii and get the Wiimotes and that, and be like, hey, you
The
want to play like
nunchuck.
Wii Sports? Sure. Here's your Wiimote. Are you fucking kidding me?
Just don't
Good luck.
box them.
Hey, how do you like this? Thud. You kidding? I'd get a smile on my face. I'd get color.
Oh, speaking of that,
Swear to God, I'm normal.
explaining to a non-wrestling fan what blading is amazing.
Oh my God, isn't it?
Yeah, because I recently did this at work, and my coworker, who is a former wrestling fan, um, she had no idea what blading was. So when I had said there's two ways to get blood in a match, she goes, "Oh, it's all fake, isn't it?" I go, "No."
No, no.
I
If
told her
if
there's the
you're
hard way.
Yeah, if you want solid color, like the only other way than the two ways you're gonna mention is normally if they want like a mouth bleed, and
Yeah,
that's usually a capsule.
but
But
sometimes they'll even bite the tongue just to do it. Like,
sometimes they will. Yes, they will.
yeah,
My favorite is still First Blood, Undertaker, and Mr. Kennedy, and the ref slid him the frickin' the thing of blood. I was like, but
yeah.
anyways, as you were saying, the hard
So
way.
hard way is an example of how Brock Lesnar made Randy Orton bleed at Extreme Rules, I want to say, or maybe it was a SummerSlam.
SummerSlam.
Yeah, where he just drove elbows into his forehead legitimately.
Brock has also busted himself purposefully the hard way off of like
Yes.
ring posts.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, no, Brock, he will do things both ways. Like he is a very much, if he takes it, or if he
yeah.
dishes it, he'll take it.
Him
Like,
and Taker in Hell in a Cell back, what was that, 2-3 years ago? He took
yeah,
off the gloves to
yeah,
bust Taker the hard way.
exactly. Like, and
Fantastic match, by the way.
he claims he can do it safely. Like, but
You uh
to an extent, I know what he means,
you
but you're still
can.
punching somebody in the head.
Oh
Like,
yeah, oh yeah. But the difference is when you're doing something like that, you're not like closed fist trying to get them to bleed. You're trying to use the point of your knuckles, which it's
yes,
really not that hard to use the
no,
point of your knuckle to just get somebody. Because I mean,
drive, yeah.
the skin on the face is very easy to cut.
Especially if you're an
Very.
older guy.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
exactly.
Taker being the guy he is. But anyway, so the blading portion of this is the point that I wanted to get across here. Um, explaining that to somebody is so interesting because when I explained her hard way, and she goes, "Yeah, okay, that makes sense. There's accidental ones like that." I was like, "Yeah, exactly, right?"
And sometimes
Now,
purposeful.
and then I said blading, and she goes, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, they'll literally take a razor blade and flick it across their forehead." And I say flick it. Some guys don't know that they have to flick it.
Well, I mean, let me point out, like, Abdullah the Butcher, he used to shove poker chips in the slits of his head because he cut so deep. Another one, I mean, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, Eddie Guerrero, him and
Yeah,
JBL, I want to say it was No Way Out. JBL hits him over the head with the chair. Eddie goes down, cuts, and he fucking cut into, I don't know what it was in his
big
forehead,
artery.
and he just, like, it's a rough match to watch. Like, it's a very very rough match to watch in general. But after that point, he just drains, and I mean, he was off TV for like the next 2 weeks because he lost literally so much blood,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's just an example of blading going wrong.
yeah,
Dustin's at Double or Nothing was very much that. Brandy got the shot on him, which
yeah.
got it. He went down, and I mean, he went under the ring, so I can only assume he bladed it more because there was no blood on him from Brandy hitting him with the
Or he
cane.
punched it, like, did that thing where they busted open more.
Yeah, and all I know is he bled like no tomorrow at Double or Nothing, which I mean is still like one of the top matches of all
Yeah.
time in my opinion. But
We got here from talking about a Nintendo 64 controller.
yeah, anyways, so TJP and Rohit Raju, very solid match.
Yes.
Many false finishes through the match, which I know some people don't like. I think it worked well in this match. It made both
I
guys look
love
really.
false finishes.
There's a lot of people who don't.
Why? Man,
Tyson Dukes is one. He very much so dislikes the amount of false finishes nowadays because it happens in every
okay,
match, and I agree with him.
sure, in every match, but in the right match, false finishes are amazing.
But the only
Like,
issue is there nothing to, be in awe over anymore. That's where I agree with him. In the right match, yeah, they work great. That, like, this match, it made both guys look really strong. But the only issue is we get them in next to every match nowadays,
for
so
sure.
it doesn't, for most people, make a difference. It's just another
No,
match with
and
false finishes.
yeah, I get that. Like, whenever somebody we do the false finish with the one-winged angel, like that's going to blow the roof off the place.
Yeah, exactly. Certain buildups, they work. It's like I said, it's just
And
the
you know
fact
it's coming
of,
too.
oh yeah, it's just gonna be a matter of who finally kicks out of it.
It's Adam Page. The story's already there. It's Adam Page.
Yeah, yeah,
The story's already there.
yeah. You make a point. You make a point. I'm still wondering when we're gonna get that. Are we getting that
Oh,
at All Out?
no, it's not until like 2022 that Adam Page is gonna be champion.
Double or Nothing next year?
Yeah, like it is
You think we're
so
gonna have
far
over a
off.
year reign with Kenny?
Yes. I think Kenny will be the first long reign of AEW.
Well, I
To the
either
point where
see
people
it.
start to get annoyed with it.
If it does not happen for All Out, it will be probably Double or Nothing. I'll be
Mhm.
surprised. I mean, the thing is, I'm not saying Kenny does not deserve it. I mean,
No.
like, Kenny is, my favorite minus Edge, my favorite current day wrestler.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a huge Kenny Omega fan. As we've talked about,
He's your best friend.
he's my best friend. Which, if you don't know that, we've got to make a storytime podcast to
We
refer
will.
people to. But like, I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed. I would not be disappointed with a year reign. It's just, if it
We
doesn't.
thought it would be Jericho, but
Yeah.
when Moxley came around, it was like, oh wait, now it makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, I guess,
Like, unless they start the build for Adam Page really aggressively, right now, I could see him getting a TNT title before he gets the world title.
I mean, we've got a long time. I mean, we're still
Yeah,
not even near Double or Nothing season. Like, we're just heading up to Revolution.
no, for sure. But
So,
I still
like,
think it's gonna be a year. Like give Kenny the long, and let like some big names like Okada and Ibushi come in and lose to Kenny.
Wouldn't it be great? I mean, it's a lot of work on him and it's a lot of work management wise, but I'd love to see him pick up the Impact World title, the New Japan World title, and storyline wise, he holds them. He's doing great.
You forgot one. The NWA title. They're working with NWA.
I guess that relationship isn't really prominent
But
in my mind
just to
because the relationship there is literally Thunder Rosa. Like,
that's fine, but make it more. Make Kenny take it from, is it Aldous still?
more than likely, that's how much I care.
Like, but that'd be perfect. Like, have it be the guy who beat the last guy, or have it be the guy who beat Cody Rhodes,
Yeah, well,
which means he's held
irregardless.
that for 3 years.
Yeah, I don't know. It's ridiculous.
That can't be right.
But anyways, honestly, I would say have him pick up at least the two, build up to him and Paige, have Paige beat him for the AEW World title, and it just be kind of a downward spiral for Kenny to let him build himself up again.
Nick Aldis won the NWA Championship October 21st, 2018.
Yeah.
Wow, that is like the longest reign in
A lot of years. A lot of
yeah,
years.
like that's
Um,
going to be historic.
but yeah.
Sorry to completely go off on a tangent. We're talking about Impact.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the whole Kenny bit kind of worked as
It
well,
did.
but
Like it was a very much a decent segue, but we really went off on a tangent there.
yeah. But anyways, yeah, TJP retains the X Division Championship if we didn't already mention that.
I think we have like twice now.
We get an interview with Tommy Dreamer. Really emotional interview, really good.
It's kind of the same thing the promo did, but just we got to
Very
see the raw
directly. Yeah.
emotion. So
And
it
I
was really
like
nice.
the you made me cry. Now I have to do another push up.
Yeah, like, but it was a very nice way to break the seriousness of the moment.
Yes,
He's like,
it was.
I'm gonna go do another push up. Like, it
Uh,
was nice. Like,
I love Tommy Dreamer. And then we move into the 6 knockout match. Deonna Purrazzo, Kimberly, and Susan against ODB, Jazz, Jordan Grace. Nothing crazy out of this match.
no, and it did exactly what we thought it would be.
At one point, Jazz, I really liked how Jazz sold the eye poke, because a lot of the time we get an eye poke and suddenly they're okay. Jazz took the eye poke and then took out, if I'm not mistaken, Jordan Grace, I think she took
Yes.
out. And I really liked that because I was like, we don't sell the eye poke enough. Like, you're getting poked in the eyes.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. And some people were thinking, well, is this going to mean we're going to have Jordan Grace and Jazz again? I was like, no, because
No.
Grace clearly knows what just happened.
Like I don't know why wrestling promotions, like we've talked about it a lot, and I'm not going to go off on another tangent here, but I don't understand why wrestling promotions 90% of the time play dumb with us. Like, most of these people go back and watch. Jericho is one example that I really liked a few weeks ago. Something happened, and the next week he I think MJF said something, and he goes, do you do realize that I watched the show, right?
yeah,
Like,
it's
why
great.
why do promotions make us, sometimes, I'm not going to say all the time, but sometimes try to make us play dumb? Like, why wouldn't, like, I know a lot of wrestlers won't watch their matches back or stuff like that, but like
And
a lot
Jericho
of
might
them
not watch his match,
but they watch the
but
show.
yeah, like, and that's just it. Like, you can't play your wrestling fans as stupid, and that's something AEW never does. They assume their wrestling fans are the smartest wrestling fans, is from what I've seen.
There's only
Whereas
been a
WWE,
few instances that, like, I can't pick out specific. I'm sure if I took a few minutes I
for
could,
sure,
but there's a few where I can pick out and be like, well, they kind of played us dumb there, but it's
for
never been
sure.
a continual thing, which is very nice.
Yeah, like with WWE's debut or re-debut of Jericho with the Save Us Y2J, how everybody had it figured out like 2 months before he actually debuted. Like,
Yeah,
just pull the trigger when you need to pull the trigger because your fans are gonna figure it out sooner or later.
yeah,
Like,
exactly. But yeah. But Jazz gets the win by submission, making Susan tap out.
and I like the STF is making a more prominent return. Like, it's been on almost every program the last few weeks.
Yes, yeah, it has.
That is a really nice submission move.
Um, but yeah, so we were right in a sense on this match. I'm surprised it was Jazz picking up the win on that side. We knew Susan was more than
Yes.
likely. It could have been Kimber, but the arrow pointed towards Susan on that side,
Yes,
taking the
100%.
L. Um, And then we move on to the Impact World Tag Team Titles match. Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson against Chris Sabin, James Storm, and Private Party with Matt Hardy.
And we were
Um,
half right.
we were half right. I I mean, solid match, bell to bell.
Mhm.
Um, as we were setting up at the finish, it it was really clear
Yes.
um what was
And
happening.
this is the second time I can remember Private Party has had a finish like this, where they've done their big move, gotten somebody tagged them in, and then stolen the win from them.
Yeah, yeah, I can.
Like, I can remember it happening on AEW. I can't remember who did it to them. No, it was a triple threat tag match. It was FTR, Young Bucks, and FTR and Private Party. For the tag titles, they did the same move, and Dax tagged himself in.
Well, it wouldn't have been the Young Bucks because
No?
the only time we've gotten Young Bucks and FTR
Oh,
on
right, yeah.
opposite sides was
Um,
Full Gear.
what match?
So,
Then what was
but
that match?
I can vividly see what you're saying. I know.
Just not who it's on.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, definitely I can see that finish again.
And I feel like that's gonna come in with Matt, the way he's
Well, Matt was
mad at
really
them.
pissed off after the match, and obviously, Good Brothers picked up the win there. I guess we should say. But we were right. It was it Sabin who took the pin? Storm? I don't remember. I don't remember.
Um, well, Storm hit the eye of the storm. Doc grabs a chair, and Matt hits a twist of fate on Cassidy.
Yeah, Matt.
And
Matt
Cassidy
got.
hits a swanton, and Mark. It must have been on. Yeah, and Carl tags himself in for the pin.
Okay.
So it had to have been on Storm because he was the last person I had in the ring doing a near fall.
Okay, but so we were right on that sense because obviously we didn't want Private Party to look bad from it.
Hmm.
Um, but it was a
And I think
solid
we even
match.
said that if Good Brothers were to win, it would be on Storm or Sabin.
If either side of them were to win, like no disrespect to
Yeah,
Storm or Sabin, but they weren't taking the titles.
no, exactly.
Um,
It
yeah,
was the same way with Susan, and we knew it was going to be either her or Kimber, but we were pretty confident it was going to be Kimber. Or
exactly.
sorry, Susan.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then we move on to the main event here, the Impact World Championship. Rich Swann defending against Tommy Dreamer. And I mean, Dreamer gave a great showing at one point. I would assume it was sticking with kayfabe, the dislocation. It looked pretty good, but
Oh, I bought it. I thought it was real.
the only thing is when that stuff has legitimately happened previously, you very well notice guys try to avoid the 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 hand that it happened to or whatnot, and with Rich going directly towards it, it makes me feel like it might have been.
It's just how much the finger was off of his
It
hand.
did not look great, so I don't know if maybe Tommy's just really fucking good at that or not, but
I'm sitting there going like, oh my god, just put it back in, just do it, like.
well, when he got in the ring and the camera was right on it, I'm like, oh fuck, and he just, yeah. So I mean, the thing is, could have legitimately been real. I mean, especially on the outside, something like that happening, and then maybe Tommy was just like, go for it, like target it, like it's an injury, and if so, like mad fucking props to Tommy Dreamer.
Well, and you could see him like trying to adjust the tape too to up higher on his knuckle, because he tapes up his hand similar to, say, who's another one? Dean Ambrose, when he was in WWE, he taped it up like that.
Terry Funk.
Terry Funk, yeah. Sorry, I couldn't think of anybody else, right? But he has it all taped up like that, and he's trying to pull it up to that knuckle to almost support it more. And I'm like, this is real, I think.
Yeah, well, that's just it. I don't know if it is. My only reason as to thinking it was to go with the match was Rich targeting it. But the thing is like I said, Tommy Dreamer is a tough SOB. So if it was real, like, hella fucking props to him. Like,
oh yeah. Well, he's just an insane guy.
But match was really good. We didn't get the outcome we figured. Rich Swann picked up the win. And then fucking here comes Moose, just destroying both Swann and Dreamer.
Yeah. He's not involved. The match was over.
Exactly. And so that closed out the show. Besides the preview at the end of the show for New Japan, I was actually really unsure because I was watching on Fight. I had ordered it and I was watching on Fight, and it started showing that, and I was like, is it just gonna continue to like whatever's like on my up next for Fight, or what's happening?
Right.
And then I hopped on Twitter afterwards, and it was like, oh no, Juice Robinson and David Finlay are coming to Impact. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So and then we'll move on to the other show, which definitely will not take us as long. Not saying it was bad, it was, in my opinion, better. But there wasn't as many matches.
No, yeah, 5 to 9.
Yeah. Like, obviously on the pre-show we already announced Eli Drake has confirmed his signing. He's LA Knight. Yeah. But the main show opens up. We get the video package. It's a rap. I didn't catch the name. I know he's a wrestler. But I didn't catch the name of who was doing the rap. Williams or something. Josiah Williams or some shit.
Sure. I know that at one point in the song he references MSK as Must See Kids.
Yeah.
And so if that's what it stands for, okay, because I've not known what it stands for.
I don't know what it stands for, and even if it doesn't stand for that, because I know it was all like the play on words through it, especially for like the women and that. Like it was decent. Like it started off and I was like, what the fuck is this? And then as he started pulling in all the play on words, and I was like,
yeah,
you know what? Pretty fucking clever. Pretty clever. And I mean, props to, like, it's obviously props to Triple H for letting him like do something like that. You know, a lot of these people have these other talents than just being wrestlers and shit. So it was really cool.
Exactly. It was really nice.
But we opened the show, finals of the women's Dusty Cup. We have Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez against Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Fucking good match.
Yeah, really, really good match.
And I like how they had the ramp right to the ring for this.
Yeah, it made it feel like it was a different show.
Yeah.
Like a different area.
Yeah. I've always enjoyed that, and that's, I think, with AEW being stuck at Daly's place, I've really enjoyed it a lot there too, because it opens up for so much more. And of course, wrestling Twitter, oh look, now they're fucking copying AEW. I'm like,
well, I think Impact's the first company that did it.
AAA did it years ago.
Okay, the first North American company then that did it probably
AAA is in Mexico. Mexico is part of North America.
Fuck, I always forget that. I always think they're in South America for whatever reason.
I knew that's exactly what happened when you said that. I was like, I gotta let you
Oh
know.
no, that's just me just being like, oh yeah, no, that's that.
Fucking
It's just
geography. Fuck geography, man.
it's confusing because I thought North America was just the States and Canada, but we're a wrestling show.
Oh, a lot of people think that though. The amount of people that I talk to and they're like, Mexico's not a part of North America. I'm like,
I as soon as you said that, I was like, oh no, you're right,
yeah.
but I just forgot. Like,
Oh, no worries, no worries. But the first I shouldn't even say the first prominent North American company because AAA in Mexico is huge. um,
the first, how about well known? Because AAA isn't really well known
if
by
you're if
the
you're not in that market, you don't know it a ton.
yeah. So the first nationally broadcasted um to the regular audience.
Yeah, I'd say it was probably Impact who did it. Because I can't
Because
think
that's
of
where I remember it.
WWE. Like, I cannot place WWE
I can't remember them
themselves.
ever having a match or a main card where that's the case.
Yeah,
Ever.
I don't think so either. But the thing is, I've always loved it. It just adds so much more.
Wait, wait. The Mania with the big ass ramp, didn't it go right to the ring?
Are you talking
Jeff's
32?
debut. Jeff and Matt's debut.
No, it didn't.
No?
Nope.
Okay. That's the only one that I could think of that would have.
No. I don't think there's ever been. I may be very wrong, but I don't think WWE
I don't know.
themselves have ever done it. But I all I know is I've always loved when that's
NXT has done
happened.
it before.
Have they?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, once again, I watched NXT for a bit and then fell out of it, so I'm really not sure.
I see a lot of clips and stuff, so I mean, I'm confident I've seen that ramp before, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Well,
They
either
always have that
way,
shorter entrance, so that's why I assume they did. Because
yeah.
that's usually where they use it. Because WWE likes to have a 20-foot entrance. Like,
Yeah. But anyways, irregardless of it, I was really impressed that they had it because it opens up for a lot and they used it really well through the night.
yes, they really, really did. Although the one thing I would say, they need to fill the little gap between the apron and the ramp, because Impact and AEW, they have a piece of like metal or something they put over top of the gap. They just had it open. They could
uh
somebody's hand could have fallen through and
I actually
twisted
AEW
up.
doesn't have anything there.
I'm pretty sure they did. They used to at the very least.
There's a plate right before, but there's never been anything that goes right over to the ring, even when they were at
Okay.
even when they had TV crowds.
Because like that to me just seems like a hazard. And then if I'm wrong, then I swear I've seen Impact have like just something that slides right up to the
Impact might
apron.
have. Impact
But
might have, but
I swear AEW did. But when I saw that, I was like, somebody's gonna get their hand stuck in that shit. Like,
yeah. But yeah, anyways, the Women's Dusty Cup, thoroughly impressed with the whole match. All four women got fantastic showings out of it.
yeah, for sure.
And Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez picking up the win as we figured, because they were really the only solidified team there.
Yep.
And they will get a future WWE Women's Tag Team title match, and
Take the things, bring them to NXT.
100%,
Leave
100%.
them there.
Yeah, please.
Do what you did with the Cruiserweight title and just say, no, this is ours now.
Yeah, make it something that I actually care about again, because when they first announced them, I was like, yeah, and then it just like fell off the face of the earth.
No, they fucked it right up, and I don't know
So,
how.
well, you've got such a fucking division. I don't know how you fuck that up, but
And it's not
sure.
like they don't. If anybody tries to tell me they don't have good women on the roster, you've not looked at the roster.
No. And I mean, they literally
Like,
split up one of the best female tag teams
and
with the
maybe not the
Iconics.
best wrestlers, but the best gimmick for sure.
I mean, they're decent
They're
wrestlers too.
right,
Like,
but
they're
people
not
would
even
argue
bad.
that they're not really good wrestlers because they've not done a lot in WWE, and that's what people deem a good
Yeah,
wrestler
that's when you're a
as.
good wrestler. Well, in that case, Kenny Omega's the fucking worst wrestler in the world. But
AJ Styles didn't do shit until he came to WWE.
yeah, AJ Styles was a nobody.
Yeah, the only reason they popped is because they said it said phenomenal. We're like, oh, this guy's gonna be great.
Fuck. Oh man.
Nobody knew him.
Yeah, nobody. But yeah, so I look forward to that future women's tag title match.
Yes.
Um we have Dunn and the tag champs as well as Balor arriving to the
Yeah.
Capitol Wrestling Center earlier in the day.
Yep.
Um
And then we roll on to the North American Championship,
yeah.
which was pretty good. But the one thing I loved was as they're walking backstage, they're all going like getting ready. It's the Ways walking to the ring, and Austin Theory just gets abducted.
So here's the best part. I'm watching and I'm watching and I'm watching and they head up the ramp and I'm like, Austin Theory's not there. What the
Yeah.
hell? And I'm watching and I'm like, like I assumed it was Dexter Loomis, but I didn't see anything. So I'm like, are they just assuming like it was like when the camera turned? And then I hop on Twitter and literally as they're walking, fucking Loomis from around the corner has a goddamn towel and fucking abducts Austin Theory.
Yeah, I was typing out the Way walks to the ring, right?
Yeah.
And then I look up and I just see white on top of Theory's face and be pulled to the side. I'm like,
Yeah, yeah, like I didn't even notice it at first. Like when he wasn't there, I was like, okay, so Dexter Loomis abducted him. But I literally, it was like 3 seconds. If you weren't watching Austin Theory, you didn't see it.
Oh yeah, like he just got and then the really interesting thing, we didn't get an update on it.
I know. I was expecting him to come out in the match or like Loomis appear or something. There was multiple points actually. When Gargano was on the ramp and Kushida ran down the ramp and did the kick, I wasn't expecting it to be Kushida because he was beside
Yeah.
the
I was like, oh,
ramp.
who's up on the ramp?
And
Like,
so I was expecting it to be Loomis and then it was Kushida and I was like, okay.
yeah.
But yeah, fucking I mean, I'm never disappointed with a Johnny Gargano takeover match.
Oh yeah, this was
Um
two of the best wrestlers at work here. Like this was just they went out there, they said this has to be the finish. Go ahead.
and they killed it. Um I mean, you want to see some of the best wrestling matches, literally just go watch most of Gargano's takeover matches.
They
Him
call him
and
Mr. Takeover for a reason.
yeah, I mean him and Champa, their 45 minute freaking street fights and shit like that, like some of the best stuff ever. makes me want to be a wrestler even more, as crazy as that sounds, watching those two brutalize each other. That's the kind of shit I want to do.
Yeah, because I know it's gonna hurt, but at the same time, it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun, and it's gonna be something people remember, which
Yeah,
it is 100%.
and
But
this weekend was a really big show of two shows for people to remember.
yeah, but Johnny Gargano retained, which when he hit that slingshot DDT on the ramp, I was like, okay, that's where we call it. That's it.
Yeah,
Because through most of the match, I honestly wasn't sure.
no,
Um, which was really nice because a lot of the time being sure about stuff, which I mean we were pretty sure about most of Impacts, and then they laughed and went fuck you. But I wasn't sure as to who was gonna win this, and
yeah, it was a real difficult one to call.
Gargano retained though, and the thing is it's gonna add more fuel to his character, which is good.
Mhm. That's only his second ever defense successfully.
Really?
Because that was the streak he had broke. He had never like when he debuted with the Way when they came celebrating. I want to say it was after the Hell pay-per-view, whatever not the Hell
New
pay-per-view,
Year's
the
Evil?
New Year's Evil. Yeah, I can't ever remember the name of that one for whatever reason. Um, they came back, and it was just he was talking about like this streak he broke. He had never successfully defended a title.
That's kind of shitty.
He's
Wow.
only done it twice now.
Okay then. Wow. Um.
Even
Yeah.
that's including even the NXT
Yeah.
championship. His first championship, his world title, I guess you call it. He lost right away.
Fuck. Okay. Wow. Um. Yeah. So that's nuts. But anyways, we move on with the results here. After that match, we have just a package of the competitors later on in the night for the women's title, prepping, getting ready. And then we move on to the men's Dusty Cup final, MSK versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. Um,
Yes.
I mean, you couldn't fit two matches like this back to back any better.
No.
Um, fucking these four guys, um, absolutely killed it. There was
There was a doomsday device to the
Oh my
outside.
god. I when that was getting set up, I'm like, "Oh shit. This is going to end
Yeah.
bad."
Well, Gibson grabs Carter up into the electric chair, and I'm like, no.
Yeah,
Like,
I was well, I was so happy he stepped forward like last second cuz I'm like the fucking announce table's right there, guys.
oh yeah, something interesting happens with that too.
Yeah, we'll cover that after.
Apparently, it was in this match. Barrett makes a comment
He was really
later.
quick on the save there that the
Yeah,
table got
so
wobbly, and we'll mention what we mean later.
yeah,
Um But these four guys just absolutely killed it. And there was a few points during the match because I mean we had said on our predictions like it was very evident MSK was gonna win. And as
yeah.
I'm watching the match, I'm sitting there and I'm like, you know what though? It totally like it's not like it wouldn't make sense for Grizzled Young Vets to win because they debuted in the Classic last year. They made it to the finals last year. So being a redemption story and beating this team, I'm like it
That
totally
also debuted.
it's not like it wouldn't make sense. And during the match, I'm watching it and I'm like, maybe they are gonna give it to the Grizzled Young Vets. I still
I
think MSK is gonna win, but it
I
wouldn't.
think Grizzled Young Vets are the next winners.
You think we're gonna go the third year in a row and they're finally gonna win it?
Yeah, I think so. And it'll be against like one of the two teams that they lost to.
Yeah, that wouldn't. I that wouldn't be bad. Yeah. I wouldn't mind that one bit.
Yeah,
Um,
and have them be faces for this one. Like right now, they've been kind of the face heel character. Like they're not heels, they're not really faces, but when they're playing against a face, they are the
they
heel.
are the heel. They're kind of
Yeah,
what they need to be when they need to be it.
but have them be the proper baby face right from the entire get go,
Yeah,
no matter who they're against.
exactly. I think it'll be good on them. But MSK
Yeah,
picks up the victory, so they get an NXT title shot at some point. We get an overly long Cameron Grimes video package. I'm still not sold on the character personally. It
I think it's
it's got a
hilarious.
bit of humor, but beyond that, it's not doing much for me. That's just me though. Um, and then we get similar to what we got for the women. We get Pete Dunne and Finn Balor preparing backstage.
Yeah,
And then we head off to the NXT Women's Championship match. Tony Storm, Mercedes Martinez, and the champion Io Shirai. Um, this match I enjoyed, but I was very disappointed in the amount of time they got, which I actually have a note on. I'm not going to sit
yeah.
here and shit on it. Um, but for the time they had, they did really good. I was so upset. So we were mentioning the table. Um,
Yes.
Tony Storm swipes everything off the table, getting ready to hit. I can only assume Storm Zero.
Yeah.
Um, and the table just fucking collapses. I was so disappointed. And
And
you could
even Hunter on a podcast or something like that said like
the post
you
show.
just feel so bad for them. Like
Yeah, because I mean it was setting up to be, if it was actually going to get hit, it was setting up to be a really good spot.
Yeah.
And even if there wasn't a move hit on it, um even
Well,
if
I
it would have
almost
played out
wonder.
the exact same way, if it didn't fall apart, it would have made it
Yeah.
feel better.
Well, I almost wonder if Io was supposed to hit her dive from the scaffolding onto the table. Like, Storm and Martinez were supposed to get up on the table, start to kind of beat on each other, realize where Io is, and then she was going to
Oh,
hit the moonsault.
possibility there too, yeah.
You
Which
know,
even is even more of a disappointment. Um, and at one point, I would like to just mention this. After that, Beth Phoenix goes. Mercedes Martinez suffered a black eye from the moonsault to the outside on the last NXT TV, and I'm like, we got no build up for them on the last NXT TV. It was 2 weeks ago
yeah,
that it happened. Which I mean, on commentary slip up, it's fine, but it was that comment kind of got to me because I I mean, I got it off my chest during our NXT recap about there being no build up, and I'm
yeah.
still pissed off. um and yeah, they went just over 12 minutes, and Hunter had said on it, on the post show as well, that they had more time. They were given more time. They only went 12 minutes. So
Oh,
however that worked out, I just, it's fine. I just wish, if they legitimately did have more time, I hope Hunter's telling the truth and not just saying it to cover his ass, because that has
well,
happened before. If he is telling the
considering
truth.
considering NXT ran or this show ran 2.5 hours instead of 3 for a pay-per-view, that's believable.
NXT's normally run short though.
Do they?
They, a lot of the time they do. There's very rare occasions, which I like to point out, like Gargano and Ciampa when they went 45 minutes. That ran over three
Right.
hours. But there's been ones that have ran 2.5 before. Um,
Okay.
I wanted more out of the match with the three competitors that were there.
For
So
sure.
if he's being honest and they did have more time, then I mean, I'd like to know
Maybe there
why
is
they
more
didn't
to this
go.
match. Maybe there's
But
gonna be more to it for SummerSlam build. Or SummerSlam WrestleMania.
I was gonna say, holy fuck.
Fucking
They better have
Jesus
like they
Christ.
better have 45 minutes if we're building to SummerSlam.
Mania, sorry. But I
Yeah,
hope that they put the NXT titles, the two main ones on the Mania card. I guess.
I hope so as well. I mean, we have 2 nights. There's no reason why we can't.
And WWE, it's not like you don't have enough spots to fill with title matches. Make Mania feel like a crazy night. Have almost every single title under your banner defended.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I
Like,
agree 100%.
if you can get Walter to defend too,
Oh, I wish. That would be so cool. Oh my
like
god, I'd pay good money to see that. Um,
yeah, I'm sorry, you have so many championships. Put them on your cards.
yeah. Uh, and
And I get
so,
why the UK one can't be.
oh yeah. Oh,
Like,
totally, totally. But yeah, Io Shirai retains. And then we have Eli Drake, now known once again, as we've said a few times, LA Knight, signing his contract earlier in the day. And then we move on to the main event, which we gotta get through stuff here, because we've got our ratings and everything to go through. So Pete Dunne against Finn Balor for the NXT title. Absolute clinic is
yes.
my description for this match.
You just honestly, we would do it disservice to describe shit that happened in this one. You
We
need to just
would,
watch it.
we would. And it's such a slow build, and it shows that there's still storytelling in wrestling. These guys did it great. Um,
Yes.
I enjoyed every second of it. Finn Balor picking up the win, and I really liked at the end Balor being clawed up because his hands were so brutalized. It just shows how good these two guys are.
Hmm.
And then we happen to have something that actually made me kind of surprised.
Sad.
Sad, surprised, everything in between. So Oni and Danny, tag champs, start attacking Finn, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, we're either getting Undisputed Era or potentially Edge. I wasn't
Oh yeah, that'd
sure
be neat.
because they had referenced Edge a few times beforehand, and I was like, it wouldn't be the craziest thing for Edge, maybe, especially
Out of sign of
Takeover,
respect.
stuff like that. But I was like, it'll be him or Undisputed Era, obviously pointing more towards UE, but sure enough, Undisputed Era come out, done, Oni and Danny just take off, and nice show of respect between Kyle O'Reilly and Finn Balor, like, you're the champ, this is all about respect, and I'm literally typing Finn stands tall with the Undisputed Era, and I look up at just the perfect time, and fucking Cole super kicks Balor, and I'm like, you son of a bitch. And then he fucking super kicks Kyle O'Reilly. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
The only thing that would have made it better, if he unzipped his UE sweater and there was a Bullet Club shirt on, I'd have just...
Oh my god, yeah, that would have been moment of the year. I would have called it that second. But
and then like Khan would have gone on to a media call and been like, I told you the door was open.
I told you I was the forbidden door. Oh, I would have. This is the year of wrestling to watch, though. I'm saying it now. And then the best part is Roderick Strong standing there being like, what? Like, you can see him mouthing, what the fuck?
Yeah, and Cole's like, come on, Roderick, let's go. And he leaves.
And Roddy just stands there. He's like, and the show ends. And I was like, you fuckers. Oh my god.
So we know we've had Fish there. He did not come out.
Yeah, so he must be injured.
He must be injured. But my theory here is that Balor's gonna take over Undisputed Era with Strong and
O'Reilly,
and Adam Cole and Bobby Fish will just be a tag team.
That could work. I don't see why not.
Or Fish will just stay with.
Honestly, it could go a lot of ways.
There's oh my god, could you, if it really does become like the actual open door fucking AEW, WWE.
The other thing to consider, not to interrupt, but with the open door thing here and whatnot, the other thing to consider is the report was Adam Cole's contract is coming up around WrestleMania season. So this could be the way to split him up, give him a bit of a good feud, and then him hop over to AEW. I wouldn't be surprised.
Want it to happen.
So,
I want it to happen.
Either way, this is the year to watch pro wrestling.
But how do they do it on BTE?
They resurrect him. Are you kidding me?
This is easy. They have Matt Hardy fucking in the pool of resurrection or reincarnation or whatever. Just pull out something and it's Cole.
Just have fucking Christopher Daniels perform a resurrection or something. We can figure it out. We've got time.
It's not like fucking BTE's actually story.
The Good Brothers just kiss and whiz and suddenly Adam Cole's back. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But we'll move on here. Our Malteser match rating system here.
Yes.
We'll run through our matches here. We got No Surrender. What'd you give to the opener? Triple XL, Tennille Dashwood against Decay and Black Taurus, or Decay in general, I guess now.
I gave it a 2.5 out of 5.
I as well gave it a 2.5. Like I said, it wasn't anything crazy, but it was a decent match.
Yeah.
Cardona, Edwards, Myers, and Hernandez.
I gave it a 2.25.
Really?
Yeah, I thought the other match was just better.
I gave it a 2.75.
Okay.
Because I was expecting with the outcome it lead to more story, but after what you said, I'm not sure. But I'll leave it. I'll be nice to them. Diener and Jake something.
I gave it a 3.
I gave it a 3.25.
When I saw this match, I was like, that has potential to probably be one of the best matches on the card.
Yeah. It had a really good showing. Triple Threat Revolver.
I also gave this a 3. I wanted to give it like a 3.5 or something, but there were a couple spots where I was like, you could have done a bit better.
I gave it a 3.75 because even with the spots, I was overly intrigued with the match. I was happy with how it all went down. Um
For sure.
I was surprised by the outcome, but I mean the thing is with Josh Alexander winning, I wasn't mad. Cause as we said, incredible athlete, it'll lead. I'm pissed off now knowing that we're getting that title match tomorrow.
Where did you hear that?
Impact's Twitter.
Gross.
Yeah. Yep. Fire and Flava versus Havoc and Nevaeh.
I gave it a 2.5.
It got a 2.5 from me as well.
It was by far the worst match on the card.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even a bad match. It was just
It
didn't work.
It felt like it was just there for some reason. TJP and Rohit Raju.
I gave this a 3.5.
I gave it a 3.5 as well.
It was a really, really good match.
It was, yeah. I mean, two great competitors there, and they gave it their all through the whole match.
Yeah.
The 6 knockout tag team match.
I gave it a 2.75. It was a good match, but it wasn't a barn burner.
I gave it 2.75 as well. The tag title match.
I gave it a 3.75. It was
Same.
It was a really good match.
It was action bell to bell. It was really, really good. I mean, 6 fantastic competitors. Matt Hardy getting involved. I would have given it a 4, I'm being honest, if we would have had more AEW crossover again with Tony Khan and Jerry Lynn. I would have liked to have seen Jerry Lynn try and get involved again, and that's what cost Private Party instead of the finish that happened. That's the only reason it got the 3.75 instead of a 4 from me.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Dreamer and Swan.
I gave this one a 4.5.
Really?
It was a really good match. I was intrigued with it the whole way through.
I gave it a 3.5. I enjoyed it. I loved the whole match. I just I was upset we didn't have something more from the match. Maybe if we could have made it a hardcore match for Tommy to play to his strengths, it might have been better. I mean, Tommy had a great performance for being 50, the injuries and everything, and being in a world title match. He did great. I just think he needed something more that he could play his strengths to, which would have been that hardcore element.
For sure.
But it was good. It was good overall. And then Vengeance Day. The Women's Dusty Cup.
I gave it a 3.25.
I give it a 3.75. If I loved it. It was really good. It got just a little lower from me. There was a point with Raquel Gonzalez. She seemed really confused as to what she was doing. I think she had it was either Ember or Shotzi, but she had been doing the corner gut check type thing, and then she picked whoever it was up and just didn't seem like she knew where she was going with it. And there was a few spots like that where they just kind of, it felt like they didn't know what their next spot was.
Right.
But when they were going, I was loving the match.
For sure.
Gargano and Kushida.
Gave it a 4.
I gave it a 4 as well.
It was really, really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's another one of those matches like we mentioned with Dunn and Balor. Like, we can't do it justice talking about it. Like, it.
No, exactly.
It was really, really good. Men's Dusty Cup.
4.
4 as well. Yeah. I was incredibly pleased with it.
Yeah.
Women's title.
I gave it a 3.75. Just if it was a bit longer, it would have been better.
I gave it a 3.25. I enjoyed it, but the length of it, and I mean, like, the mishap wasn't their fault. It was not by
Yeah.
any means, so I don't mean to like take it off for that, but it was such a downer during the match. So,
Oh,
I mean, the match was fantastic. The match itself deserves a 3.75, but because of what happened in it, I just took away to kind of, because I did it to other matches. I didn't want to, you know, not do it to them myself. Not want to give them a high score and be like, this shit happened, but I didn't take away when I did the others. Be a
yeah.
hypocrite. um, Balor and Dunn.
I gave it a 4.75. It was almost perfect.
I gave it a 4.5. It was ridiculously good. Um, I I think it was just I don't even know what I can say to like give reason why I took away from it. I just I wanted more
Yeah.
because of how good they are. And so I think that's why I took just a point 0.5 off.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't even know what more they could have done because they did so much and it was so good. I just I feel like I wanted more and like they could have done something more.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's my only reasoning. So, yeah, moving on here. Overall show rating. What's it called? No
No
surrender.
surrender.
Thank you. No surrender.
3.75.
3.75 for you. I gave it a 3.75 as well. I thoroughly enjoyed the show. Vengeance Day.
I gave it a 4.75. It was that near perfect show.
Is that near perfect? I gave it a 4.25. So it was really close. It was really close, to say the
Mhm.
least. Um, yeah, match of the night.
I gave
Obviously
it to
no
the main
surrender.
event for No Surrender.
That's fair. I gave it to the triple threat revolver. I was
Okay.
just entertained. There was the spots where I was pissed off, like Davari
Yeah,
not getting a strong showing and Willie Max pin just kind of feeling odd. But the guys really gave it their all in it,
for
as
sure.
they did in almost every match. There was something about that match that I thoroughly enjoyed. And I think a close second for me would have to be Rohit and TJP. The only reason they didn't get it was solely due to the fact of a lot of the pre-match stuff. I felt like they let the pre-match beatdown go really long.
Okay.
Uh and that's the only reason I didn't give it. Not saying I didn't enjoy it. I just felt like for what they had done, the pre-match was so exciting and then like the middle of the match in comparison felt really low to
Mm.
a good end. So it had a dip in the middle, so I didn't. That's the only reason I had to switch it out there.
Hmm.
And then Vengeance Day,
It also went to the main
main
event for
event.
me.
Yep, I agree 110%. No questions asked there. Segment of the night. This is hard. This is obviously hard for the pay-per-views, but
Yeah, no surrender. I gave it to the tag title match because there
okay.
weren't really segments, so I decided that
Yep.
this was the best one.
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. I gave it to the post-match beatdown by Violent by
Oh, okay,
Design.
yeah,
Because I'm just looking forward to it forwarding that story
for sure.
and seeing what we can get out of it. Uh and then Vengeance Day.
The after main event beatdown in moments, and yeah,
I gave it to the post main event, as well as I gave it to the Dusty Cup matches because we've had so many weeks of tag team matches that when we had 2 big tag team matches here, and I was still impressed. Like, when you see it over and over and over again, sooner or later you start to feel it become stale, and the 4 teams just did phenomenal.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
yeah. Performer of the night. And apologies that we're running through this relatively quick. We're running short on time here for ourselves, so we are going to run through this, and then tomorrow's recap of Raw. If we have anything else we want to add, I'm sure we can fit it in
Yeah,
at
for
that
sure.
point. But anyways, performer of the night. No Surrender.
I gave it to Tommy
Same.
Dreamer.
Tommy just somehow the past few weeks has gotten that performer of the night from me, just because I don't know if it's just how much I like Tommy, if I'm pulling the age in on it or what it is, but
Yeah,
I'm really enjoying Tommy Dreamer. And then Vengeance Day.
Finn and Pete.
Yep.
I couldn't decide which one was better. Like with the No Surrender one, Dreamer is clearly the choice because he's 50 years old and doing that match. Swan is expected to be doing the matches he's doing pretty
At his
much.
age, yeah. Yeah. 100% agree.
So like
But Balor and Dunn, like, holy fuck.
yeah, this
Like,
was insane. And I mean I could give it to MSK because they also had like
they did great
crazy
too.
match.
But
But
Balor and Dunn just phenomenal. Phenomenal. Worst of the night,
the
No Surrender.
the knockouts tag title match, it just wasn't very good.
I kind of hear I'll try to keep it really short.
For sure.
I gave it to the fact that there was no title changes, and the title retentions really didn't feel meaningful though.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, obviously they're building towards different stories, but like it would have meant so much for like Rohit to win. And like I can understand TJP winning, showing he can do it by himself with that name, but it was just kind of there. The tag match, the Good Brothers won, and it just kind of
Yeah.
felt disappointing overall. Like, not to shit on the Good Brothers, but it was like, oh, like we could have had something really cool.
And maybe
And
there'll
then
be something, but it's just
yeah, and then the world title as well. Like, not to shit on Rich Swann, but I was like, it could have been so fucking cool too.
yeah.
And so it just, I was like, I don't know. I sat there and I was like, we had so much that there could have been, and I mean, we're still gonna get so much from it, but it was just like there was nothing from the title matches that left me being like, it was just kind of like, okay, like, yeah,
Yeah.
that was the pay-per-view, cool. um and then Vengeance Day.
So I gave it to LA Knight debuting on the pre-show because why did he debut on the pre-show? Like have him come out and not interrupt a match, but like take out the winner of a match or
Hell, even
something.
just have him
Like
come out and cut a promo. Like, most of you
or
should
like
know who I am, or
yeah.
what were you gonna say?
Or yeah, basically just do that. Like just say like I used to be this over here. Like I used to be called something else here, but I'm gonna be known.
But
Even
you will know me as LA
yeah,
Knight. Like, that's, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like it just and the guys he appeared beside. So it was Barrett and some guy from Barstool Sports, and he's just the most awkward human
Oh my
being
god, it was
in the
so
world.
bad. So bad.
He stands there and he's like oh,
Well,
like
well,
when
well, Drake Knight, whatever. That's gonna take me a while to get used to. He makes a comment about him being like derpy or something, and I'm like, he very much so was. He was like, "What is happening?" Like,
yeah, and he would when he would point out that he would like get really even more so like he would get worse. I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you?
yeah. I gave mine not specifically to the women's match, the women's title match, because the match was really solid, but I gave it to the time, which at that point I didn't know that they had more time, but I wish we would have had more. As well as the announce table giving way. Um And once again, like, that's not on them. That was not their fault. It just took away for a second there.
For
And I
sure.
felt like we could have had something really awesome with it.
Yeah,
But like, that's not their fault. That was just the
not
worst
at all.
of the night, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
exactly. Well,
And him debuting on the pre-show really sucked too. I never even thought of that.
yeah, well, I was like, well, on the Vengeance Day card, there wasn't really anything that sucked. And I was like, well, it says of the night.
Yep.
He debuted on the card, technically.
Yep. Yep. Well, that's why these segments are here. And finally, we'll run through here predictions. Anything going into Raw tonight. I'm hoping we finally get Bliss back and get something there.
Nah, she's just gone. She's in the void. Well, I mean,
Uh,
Mojo Rawley's just in the void.
oh, before
We
we
last
forget,
saw him with blue on his face.
ew. Before we forget, Twitter polls. Twitter polls, real
Oh,
quick.
right. Good work.
No Surrender, 85.7% thought it was great. 7.1 thought it was a waste of time, as well as 7.1% are sitting on the fence. And then Takeover Vengeance Day, 100% great show, which I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree with that. But yeah, any last minute predictions, and then we'll wrap the show up here.
Not really, no. Like this one after just a couple shows I mean, I guess we're building towards Chamber, but like unless we get some build for the US title, I don't see anything happening. And maybe, let's book another Elimination Chamber match, have the two mid-card titles be defended. How
Or even the
about?
tag, maybe.
Or all three, or all four, or even the women's, or
I was gonna
make the
say,
entire
are we
card
getting?
Elimination Chamber.
I agree there, as I've already stated. But are we gonna get a women's elimination chamber? Are we?
Probably not.
Which pisses me off.
Well, I mean, oh, you know what's gonna happen? Bianca's gonna come out, and she's still not gonna mention Io, even though she's had the best women's match for 2021.
Okay, now you're just pissing me off. Uh, um, I could see maybe Asuka defending. And that's where Bliss gets the title finally. Maybe.
Potentially, but does she need the title? Will we have the same issue with the Fiend? Where does the Fiend need the title?
Maybe she doesn't, but I mean, she
You
just
want
kind of feels
it?
lost at this point,
Yeah.
and I would very much so like it
I would
myself.
like to see her
As a
win the
personal thing,
title.
I'd like her purely because of one line she said here real quick before we wrap up, and it's playing in with the character of a shiny new toy. I would
Yeah.
just like to see where they bring it if she does win it, and that's
Well, I
why I
want to
want
know
it.
if she'll have a Fiend belt similar.
Ooh. Huh. Okay. Anything else you want to add there?
Nah, I think that's about it. But to make sure if you guys see some news on Twitter and stuff like that, to give us a tweet at Walking the Ropes. We don't always see every bit of news, so it gives us help to have people tweeting us about it.
Yeah, and if you want to check out anything else Walking the Ropes, you can do so. Holy shit. Do so through our link tree. It has links to ways to support us, all our social media, as well as every podcast platform we are available on, which there are many of. So definitely go and check that out. And we will be live tomorrow for our Raw recap and whatnot. So we will see you then. Take care.
See ya.